All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Casey here, and I'm excited to do this kind of impromptu Google Hangout, I guess you'd call it. I have someone here who has an interesting story. His name is Jason Caruso, and Jason is one of our EasyWebinar customers. And again, we have a kind of an interesting story about webinars, some cool stats. But before we go into some of that stuff, I wanted to tell you a bit about Jason. I wanted him to kind of share some things about what he does and what his business is, because it's very cool. It's all about video. It's all about engagement, and he has a really strong community. So, Jason, first off, thanks for being here today. And you and I were talking about putting this together just so we could kind of talk about these things, because I think the idea was that a lot of our potential customers and customers want to know they have certain struggles that they go through when putting together webinars and events, and these are struggles that you've obviously gone through. But I'd also like to kind of talk about your overall business, and the overall things we do and go through in our business that we're the only ones working at it, and it's blood, sweat, and tears oftentimes, and how that still also relates to kind of setting up the webinar, because the webinar is kind of a way of building revenue, right? So essentially, but before we jump into all the webinar stuff, I did want to introduce you, and if you could kind of talk about your business. I'll start off by saying that Jason and his partner have a very successful YouTube channel and blog called Woodland Bakery, and it's videos and tutorials all about different baking different things like cakes and things like that. But I'll let Jason go into detail on that. And I think to date, I think you have 110,000 YouTube subscribers. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. That's right. And first of all, thanks for having me, Casey. I'm thrilled to do this. I'm glad that we were able to put this together. I really want I'm going to try my best not to get too excited about EasyWebinar, because I don't want to make it seem like it's staged. But I am very excited to be a customer. Although that story is pretty funny, and we may or may not get into it, but
I think we'll get into it, because I think it's an important. It's totally true, so I think we should get into it, because it's it's I think other people have experienced the same thing, or it's just something that we all experience. So anyway,
okay. So as Casey said, I do have a pretty successful business. I like to joke around. I've said it to him multiple times. Nobody really knows who I am, and that's fine, and that's cool. But my business as an internet business has been like 15 months old. Now, I've been doing it for about 8 years, and I've been zero successful from a personal blog standpoint. For 8 years, and like most people that are successful, you just don't give up, and you just have to have that resiliency to find sort of whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. And
well, it's like you have to fail so much in order to finally get that blueprint, and then that's why your success is not just happenstance. That's why it's not oh my God, I'm suddenly successful. You took all the things that you've learned through the past experiences, and doing this for so long, and in the last 15 months you built up a huge brand on YouTube and on your blog, and you're generating really good money from it. But it took all those years to kind of understand how to do all of that. So that's. In my opinion, your success is not just your success is not an accident, Yeah,
I'm really a fan of this little short CD. It's called The Strangest Secret. Not The Secret like that famous book. It's called The Strangest Secret.
Yeah.
And basically the guy in there says, people think that you're successful after you make a lot of money, but it's actually opposite. You make a lot of money after you're successful. It's sort of like asking a fireplace to give you heat, and then you'll provide the wood. So it's something that as I'm going through these tough times, I always just think about that. Look, no one's successful overnight. No one gets like this. And, our success, although 15 months is not that long, it didn't just happen in one day. I mean, it's, you're talking, 4 or 5 months of grinding from, the minute you wake up, and then whatever you're doing during the day, you come home and then you do it again till 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, and you
Yeah.
just keep doing it. And that's sort of what we did. We just really bulldogged our way into it, and I don't really know how to explain it, but that's what we did. And then Casey, as you know, you have to set yourself up to grow, right? Like,
Yeah. Right.
that's the other part of it, like learning how to make YouTube work for you, make your video, your blog, and then your email, and then how do you make all that stuff mesh so that it's growing together like a snowball. And that's really what we did really well, is we capitalized on that. As we spoke about before, I don't know if you'd like me to speak about it, but we do something really cool with our excuse me, my email just came in, but we force people to
Yeah,
come.
but tell us. I mean, I'd love to hear about it. I mean, again, I think a lot of the people that, in my community, they love video, they love YouTube strategies, engagement. So please do share if you feel comfortable with sharing. Absolutely.
All right, so I'll give you guys some really good stuff then. So, you get on YouTube and you think like it's the camera, and then you think it's like the lighting, and then you think it's like all these things that make you successful, right? Like, we bought like a $150 camera that everybody complained about, but they still came, right? They still watched, and
Yeah.
and you realize that it's not that minutia stuff that makes you successful, right? It's what you're doing for your community. Like, how are you enriching their lives? So we've really capitalized on making our videos rank high in YouTube, and also rank very well, on that sidebar, in related videos.
Yeah.
So
In
you're,
the search bar, right?
yeah, well, on the right-hand side, like if you're watching someone's video, there's like
Mhm.
suggested videos on the right-hand side.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we've really mastered that. And, I go on all these channels, these YouTube channels, and I see like people using their description boxes like for Facebook and Twitter links, and, connect with me, and all this stuff. And I'm sure you know this, but that is where the SEO is, right? Like, your
Right.
keywords need to be in there. So, we
Yeah.
link to the blog post. We make sure that the keywords are in that description. Look, nobody looks at that stuff, but when you search in YouTube,
Yeah. Do
you
you,
know,
you probably do you get your videos transcribed too, each one that you put together, or you probably don't need to go to that that
you
extreme.
know,
Yeah.
it's like anything else, Casey. Like, you can't do it all,
No, you
right?
can't do
Like,
it all.
you
You're
just
right.
you just don't have the resources as you and I are, like, internet guys. You just don't
Mhm.
have the resources, right? So, like, you have to choose like what works for you, and what you're going to see the best return on. So all we do in our descriptions is I add a link to my blog, or to the blog post that refers to that video,
Yep. Yep.
and then I just add the keywords in there, like, of the video. So when it gets searched in YouTube, they look at the URL of the video, right? Or, of the the title of the video, and then they
Yep.
search the description and see that those keywords are matching. And then we often put other, the tags. We often tag other people's channels as well, so that when they search other people's channels, we happen to come up as well.
That makes sense. So that's kind of how you do some of the related video stuff, right?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
That's and again, and then on top of that, people don't take advantage of when someone's watching your video. You need to. It's like a blog post. You need to refer them to another video. Like, hey, click this annotation and you can see the next video. Or, people don't use that enough, and we do.
Yep.
We use that like to the max.
How many playlists do you guys have?
That was something that we did in the beginning that was really something we focused on at first. And to be honest with you, we really don't even, we have, like maybe 4 or 5. We
Oh,
don't,
okay.
yeah, we don't, it's just a lot of work making sure
Yeah.
everything is in the playlists. And we find that people really care about the most recent video more than
Hmm.
anything. Um, so yeah, we don't really, that's just time that we don't really get into.
Cool. So, but what you're doing is you're going through your videos and you're saying, okay, this one relates to this one, so let's bring people through into that one. Um, so each of your videos, they have kind of like call to actions and stuff like that, or you said something that you do, which is kind of cool, is in your videos you talk about the what you're baking, but then you send them to the blog to get the recipes.
Yeah, so we get about 50,000 video views a day.
Hmm. Wow.
Um, and my partner and I just have always like said like that's a lot of people to not sort of figure out how to get them back to the blog, right? Like
Yeah. Right.
why not? So what we would do what we do is we don't give the ingredients in the actual videos, the measurements to the ingredients. We
Gotcha.
say,
Yeah.
look, come to the blog, and we explain it thoroughly in the blog.
Yep.
And then we link to it, and then they come, and then it drives a lot. I mean, we're getting like 10 or 12 or 13,000 hits every day, and then like if we send out an email blast, it goes out up to like 20,000 visits in one day. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
lot for us.
Yeah. Well, no, I was looking at, I'm here kind of looking at your stuff. And this most recent post here that I'm looking at, I mean, this was from yesterday, I think, and it has 378 likes and 94 pins. You have 52 comments. I mean, it just looks like you have a lot of activity on every post that you have, and then of course your YouTube video, your the channel itself. I see 2 weeks ago this has already gotten 11,000. Um, oh, sorry. I must have clicked on one of the ads on your site. Sorry. But yeah, no, I mean it looks really good. I might maybe I'll share my screen so people can see, but what I want to show them is, that what you're doing, you're monetizing your site through a couple different. You're monetizing your business in a couple different ways, obviously. And when you have a business, you have to test things and tweak things and put money back into the business so that it can continue to grow. So I see that you guys have a really nice store where you're selling like cake decoration kits and ebooks that will explain like desserts and things like that. And as you said, you guys make some sales every single day, which is terrific. The one thing that I wanted to kind of switch gears towards is, what made you decide to go the route of doing webinars? And the last, what you became an EasyWebinar customer, and you came through and you started doing a webinar about blogging, right? Because obviously, clearly, your blog is doing really well. Which obviously, you could also create you probably have a course coming out pretty soon all about YouTube as well. But when you did the blogging thing, was that because you knew that, well, now I have this, I can speak from this expert point of view because I've been there, I've done that, I've had success with this. So now I'm going to come and just put a course together all about blogging so people can learn what I've exactly done and how they can do it themselves. And so is that where your kind of thought of I'm going to put a webinar together came from, and then why did you think webinar to do it, and also why did you think automated webinar? Can you kind of share some of those ideas or those things?
Yeah, so the biggest hurdle I think that anybody has to overcome when you're starting a blog or blogging or whatever is getting that like authority, right? Like it's hard to say like, hey, buy my product because I've read 100 other blogs that tell you that you should do it this way, and I'm going to tell you to do the same thing, So I've always I haven't had that, I've always just been missing it. So that's one reason, but the main reason is because we would get emails from our community that said, "Oh my God, I want to start a baking blog. How do I do it?" And we were like answering, like 5 or 6 emails a day. And we're like, man, like honestly, our blog gets probably 300 comments every single day. So my partner's in there like answering 300 comments. And so I'm like, look, that's one less thing, or that's one more thing that you don't need to do. Let's create a product. Let's not like make it fluff. Let's teach people exactly how we did this. And it's not a secret. It's a formula that anybody can use. And what I did was, we have 25,000 email subscribers, and obviously it's much more than that. We delete people that don't open our emails, but right now it's at like 26,000. I sent an email out, and we also posted it on Facebook like, hey guys, look, is anybody interested in learning how to create a blog like Woodland Bakery Blog? And we used that audience, and we had a huge response. I mean, maybe like 2,000 people actually said yes, which is a lot when you're talking about pitching to a baking community,
Yeah, no, I know. But that's really awesome. So you had that great feedback, and then now it's like, crap, now I have to put this together.
Yeah, so the way I by the way, let me tell you, the webinar process it's so rewarding when you're done, because it's such a process.
Mm-hmm.
And you go through like a blog, like anything else, and you second guess yourself as you're going through it, but when it's done and you can look at it and watch it, it's so rewarding to think that you just did this,
Yeah.
What really drew me to webinars is the one-to-many sales, right? Like it's not one-to-one.
Yeah.
Every other sales platform is one-to-one, and it's that was one thing. The other thing was that I'm a terrible salesman, so like I feel like if I can just be honest and be, really looking out for the people I'm trying to sell to, like
Yep.
I feel like that'll come through, So that was a big deal, and that was a big reason why I got into webinars. And
Well, and
like everybody else, you go through this search.
Yeah.
To try to figure out, like, we're going to get into our story, which is going to be funny, but you go through this search, and being new, I'm sure your audience, some of them have gone through this exact problem, right? Like, you don't know anything about webinar software or platforms, and you don't know any of this stuff, right? Like, it's all, like, brand new. You don't even know what you really need or what you really want. Like, you think you do because you hear, this one or that one saying that you got to go with these guys, they're the best, or you got to go with those guys, they're the best. And it's hard to make your own decision. And that's exactly what I went through. And that's sort of how you and I met.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, sorry, my wife is coming through right now while we're doing some recording. That's Diana right there.
Sorry.
It's no big deal. No big deal.
I didn't know you were recording.
This is real,
yeah,
right?
it's okay. And there's my dog right there as well.
I'm so sorry. I thought you were just gonna call me.
No, it's fine. It's okay.
That's nicer.
Yeah, I look like you got your Sunday Fun Day shirt on. Yeah,
Hi, sorry.
that's okay. Sorry, everybody.
That's
I'm
great,
gonna keep that
man.
in. We're gonna keep that in. It's just one of those things that happens. I'm sure.
Keep it in, man. This is what we do, Casey, man. We work from home, and
This is it's right. This is live work. It's live work. That's the same. It's kind of the same thing.
yeah.
Which
What
is
was that? I'm sorry.
well, I did want to say something though, because you told me that while you've been building up this business, you still maintain I think it's a 9-to-5 job, right?
Yeah.
So which is great because now you make double income, but and you're kind of moving away from your 9-to-5er because of the fact that you're probably making more at this other thing now. But would you think that, would you call that like another reason as to why you thought, automated webinars might be the way to do it? Because it obviously, because of the time issue, to be able to always run a live event, if you have to do obligations during the day, and whether it's working 9 to 5, or doing stuff with your family or your kids or whatever. I mean, obviously there's there's an aspect of leveraging something that can kind of work for you, right? So
Yeah, so I live in New York, and I live in a suburb just outside of New York City. And well, I'm actually from a suburb just outside of New York City, and I kind of moved a little further north, and where I live, it's like everything is an hour away. I mean, New
yeah,
York City's an hour away, New
right,
Jersey is an hour away, everything is an hour away. So
right,
I work an hour away.
yeah,
And I leave the house at 7:30, and I'm home at 6:15ish, and then I spend some time with my wife and I have an 11-month-old, and I try to like give them as much time as I can for like an hour.
yeah.
And then I come down here in my like basement studio, and I just start cranking out content. And I said this to you when we were speaking. I said I just can't do the live thing. I'm sure they work really well, and I'm sure I'd be fine at doing them,
Yeah.
but it's just one more thing I just can't do.
At this point, right? I mean, you've already told me, what you're kind of the growth that you're going to be going through at some point, and yeah, you're right. And maybe at this point, that's right. But and that's where the automated webinars, are really kind of very helpful. They can. We've all been there. I mean, the very first thing you have to do is, first thing is to support the family, and if you have to work somewhere else to do that, you do that. I mean, that's the thing. What's amazing is that you were able to do both at the same time, and so many people that are in this community. I'm telling you that this relates to a lot of people that have to almost put on 2 different hats, or 3 different hats, family hat, entrepreneurial hat, work hat. It's like all these different hats that you have to wear occasionally. So, it's something that we've all been there. So, I can tell that you'd be really good on a live event, and at some point, we'll knock one out or something. I think you should do one. But I hear you. So the idea behind why you wanted to jump in and do automated events was to leverage your time, so you didn't have to so you could be somewhere without having to be there. I mean, that makes complete sense to me.
But let me just say this though. I'm testing as well. Like I'm testing what it's like to have multiple, like 2-day available webinars, and then like 3-day, and then like 1 day. And
Right.
then, like, if the 1 day does better than the 2 and 3 days, I'm going to stop doing the automated and maybe move to, like, a live, because I'm just going to see what works. And
Yeah, it's all about testing. Yeah.
and that's what I'm doing now. I mean, I have a blog, like as you know, I'm doing the webinar thing. I have a full-time job. I have an 11-month-old, and I'm trying to make this all happen. And I just can't commit to that one live day. So automated webinars were the way to go for me
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. So, so you're my hero because you're doing all of that, by the way. Like
Right.
you're like the like that to me rings success when you can do all of that and just make it work. That's success to me. So
Well, no one says that I can do it. I mean, you just don't have a choice. I just feel like I have to.
Yeah.
I don't feel right if I don't.
right. Well, I'm thinking that might hopefully relate to some people that are watching this. So can you so the automated webinars, that was the plan. So maybe let's talk about our story a bit now. So this is kind of how it relates to our software, and how it relates to Jason in regards to his business, in regards to similarities that you might be experiencing. So that's I really wanted he and I had a conversation. We were like, you know what, let's get together, let's record this and talk to the community, because you might be hitting some of the pain points that they have about either finding a software that they can use to do this, something to leverage their time, like automated webinars, what software to use, you know, the second guessing that you sometimes feel, and you know, just and the pain of having to put together a webinar, which, as you said, at the end of the day, it's really rewarding because it takes so much time, but you still have to go through that process. You have to kind of go and mire through that process. So so why don't you kind of go into, you know, let's talk about, you know, so you finally decided you're going to do an automated webinar. You put together your blog product, and then you came in and purchased EasyWebinar, I think, right?
Well, let me just give a quick disclaimer, okay? Because I just want to say that I'm not the kind of guy that's going to sit here and just say things because maybe the other side of this video expects me to, and you know that, Casey. Like, I'm very.
No, I ask you to be honest and open to me, and just you don't have to try to. Don't do me any favors. Just
well, you know what though. You know what, Casey? Like, I think, like, and I'm saying that because I don't want this to sound like I'm overly excited for any other reason than the real reason, or the honest reason.
Right.
And so the way Casey and I met, I purchased EasyWebinar. I was debating between, can I say who?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So I was debating between Evergreen Business System and EasyWebinar. And I'm going through the videos like everybody else, like, okay, you know, what do I need? What do these guys offer? How do they integrate? You know, you're going through all these questions, and you try to do research and trying to figure out, like, who's using what. I really, really liked the way EasyWebinar looked. The dashboard, it just made sense to me. The colors, everything. I just really liked the way that it looked. But then, like, on the other side, excuse me, everybody in our space, I'm sorry, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people that are, you know, that are outspoken about what they're using seem to be saying, like, they're using Evergreen. And I'm like, how is this possible? Like, I look at Evergreen, I look at EasyWebinar. EasyWebinar just looked so nice to me, and I just couldn't understand it. So I said, you know what, I'm going with my gut, and I purchased EasyWebinar. Like most of you, I'm sure, when you go against the grain and you go with your gut, you're looking for any reason to discount the decision that you made, right? Like, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter whose fault it is, none of that stuff matters. And, you know, Casey, this is something I really have to, you know, thank you for, because you've been nothing but a gentleman. You've been nothing but helpful. So I went with EasyWebinar, and I had, like I said, from my community, you know, hundreds of people. Casey, you went into the back end of the system. You saw I had maybe 620 people come to the sign-up page, and I think just about 400 of them registered.
Maybe we can show that at some point if we can get into your system. But yeah, go. Yeah.
And you know, because this was my community who trusts me and who I have a rapport with already, I was really on edge. Really, how the best way to explain it. And I had like a little hiccup with the software. And I immediately send, you know, Casey an email. And actually, I think, Casey, before that, I sent you an email. Do you remember? Wow. About I red flag. I sent you an email like, oh, this is a red flag that you're using like lead pages, and you were like, do you remember that?
Oh, that was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just like, you know, I use our own registration pages, but I also use lead pages just to show people that we can integrate with lead pages. So
right, but you have to understand the mindset of someone like me looking for the software, right?
You try to find holes, you try to poke holes, you know, which I totally get. It's what everybody does when they're trying to invest in something.
You're trying to poke holes, but you're also like, well, if your landing pages are customizable and they're as great as you're talking, like, as you're saying in your videos, why are you using lead pages, you know? But then, like, you get into this stuff and you realize, look, you got to test. I mean, sometimes you want to test on lead pages. Sometimes you want run automated webinars, so you would use your landing pages for that, and then you would use lead pages for maybe one-time events. I mean, there's so many different ways to do this stuff.
Yeah, you can use our pages for one-time events. In fact, I sent something out today about, the fact that we can create these dynamic field dropping, so if like you do a one-time event and you set 2 times up, after the first time it'll drop the field and you only have 2 fields, name and email at that point, which which makes it better for conversions. So anyway, yeah, I mean, you're right. I was just testing, lead pages we had a lot of our customers asking about it, so I started to look how can we integrate it. And you're right. You can use our designs, you can use lead pages, but it's all about testing, as you mentioned. But no, I completely know why you asked that. It made complete sense. So.
And when you answered me, you were really, really nice, and that was great, because I'm some crazy prospect or customer or whatever, and I didn't know much, and it really came back to me, not really you or your software. It was like I made a decision that I felt was against what I maybe heard out in the the community that I'm kind of like a part of. And so it's kind of like really me that's having the problem. And I can say that I purchased the software. Like I said, I was having a little bit of I had so many people coming to it. I uploaded the wrong file. It was my fault, not EasyWebinar's fault, and the video wasn't playing seamlessly because I uploaded the wrong file. And Casey went in. He's like, dude, I'm really sorry the software's not working. Meanwhile, it's me, and it's he was just so nice about it, and I really appreciate that, because it really made me feel like he cared about me, which he doesn't know me from Adam, but that's how I treat my customers, and I like that he treated me that way. Now, what happened next may not have seemed like I was so appreciative. But
before you go into that, how did that webinar do?
Oh, right. So that's the best part about all this, right?
Yeah. I wonder if I gotta give people numbers, because that's what some of the things that they're wanting to know, some of the bottom line.
Okay, right. And that's the most important part of this whole story. So I used EasyWebinar for the first time. The first webinar made, Casey, now it's up to $14,000. Between
nice.
Referring, products
to the actual event and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, doing the replay, people coming later, whatever. Not having the money to buy it. So my first webinar did $14,000, and I have the nerve to send him an email saying, "Look, I don't want the software anymore," which sounds a little crazy, but that's exactly what happened. And so I'm a little embarrassed.
It's all good. Hey, it's all good. I think that, I think this is, you probably might be thinking maybe I could have made more with something else. I mean, there's a lot of factors there. And
you know what? I want to talk about that real quick, because I think that's important, right? So I'm a baking blog guy, right? I don't really have any use for any automation. I have Aweber. I don't have Infusionsoft, or I don't have, at the time, I didn't have Entreport. So not only am I looking for webinar software, I'm looking for automation, and I'm trying to put all these pieces together, right? And EasyWebinar really integrates into Infusionsoft really well. It doesn't at this point go into Entreport. So right. I'm I don't know, and then I made all this money, and then I'm hey, Casey, can I have my money back? But it was more I didn't know where to go or what to do or what was important. Was it important to integrate into Entreport, or was it important to have all these great features that EasyWebinar has? And I didn't know what was important. And
right.
That's sort of why, when you don't know, really what you should be using, and you're trying to put all the pieces together, it's really a difficult process, and it was grueling for me. And I asked for my money back, and
Well, it's because we hear about what we should get in our business. Like, oh well, we have to have Entreport, or we have to have Infusionsoft so that we can have the automation CRM in the back, and when, at the end of the day, is it about what is the best sort of software that works for you, that's going to be there for you, that gives you those features that you want, right? So it's hard to say, it's hard to prioritize when you don't know what to prioritize, right?
Well,
Or when
but
you
Casey,
hear different things.
it was worse than that. You
Hmm.
told me to use Entreport.
I
I then
did. I said Entreport is probably. You asked me honestly, so I told you honestly. I use Infusionsoft, but there is a problem sometimes with the deliverability with Infusionsoft, where Entreport is more for maybe more for marketers, I guess you'd say.
right. So you told me that I should use Entreport. I then go buy Entreport for $2.97, and then I come back and say, Casey, give me my money back. It was such a crazy story, and you know, I don't know how else to say this, but like your character and how you handled the situation is really what I mean. Look, I love EasyWebinar. You know that. I've told you that 1,000 times, and why we're on this call is because I've told you how much I liked it after I knew what was important and what I needed and what I didn't need and all that other stuff.
Right.
But the way you treated me, even after I was kind of like, look, dude, I made 13 grand. You told me to go to Entreport. I did it, and now I want my money back. That's so I appreciate that, and I think it was good. It was good for me to go to Evergreen. I didn't mention that, but that's what I did. I went to Evergreen,
Right.
and I'm sure they're great guys over there. I don't know who they are. I know who they are. I don't know them personally. I'm sure they're nice guys. But EasyWebinar really is easy. It flows properly. It brings you through the process of creating a webinar to going live very well. Where, excuse me, I felt like Evergreen Business was very choppy. Now, even going with Evergreen, right? Even leaving EasyWebinar and going to Evergreen, and then finding out that I didn't like it because it was choppy, I still in my head said, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be here because this is what I'm told, right?
Right.
And you still, even though you don't like the software, even if it doesn't work that well, it's choppy, it just doesn't flow properly, you still have this like crazy thing in your head that like you're gonna make them, like, I don't know, like I don't know, I really don't know how to explain it, but all I can say is when I left Evergreen and I came back to EasyWebinar, it was like I don't even know how to explain the feeling, because it was just such a, like a great feeling to come back to EasyWebinar. And Casey, I'm going to say this, and I'm only going to say it because I really think, again, it speaks to your company and you. Casey never deactivated my account, and I didn't know this, that I didn't know that he purposely left it live. So after I was aggravated with Evergreen, I came back to my EasyWebinar account and I logged in, and I'm like, oh man, I can't use this when they gave me my money back. So that's when you got that email from me. I'm like, Casey, man, we got to talk. Can we get on a phone call, please? Because I felt guilty. And Casey said, look, I was going to let you keep it, and I'm like, I'm paying you. Send me an invoice. I'm giving you your money. You deserve it. You spent a lot of time with me, and I'm paying you for it. And that was the end of that. But well, it wasn't the end of that. But that's the story. Yeah. So.
So thank you for sharing that. And this is like real stuff. People go through this all the time. So that's why I wanted us to get on this call, so that the pain that everybody experiences. I'm sure that this is something that they can relate to. I want to ask you a quick question about how your EasyWebinar conversions were, because you'd mentioned this yesterday, and I know you test Facebook ads, and some days they're good, some days they're not. But you were mentioning that yesterday, you were mentioning that you had how many cold signups did you have, and or how much traffic did you get versus opt-ins into the registration page? I think if you could share that.
Yeah. So of course, I'm completely open to sharing anything you like. So a big problem I was having with Evergreen was that their form was loading like after 10 seconds. So somebody would come to the page, their form would take 10 seconds to load the iframe. I shot them an email, they got back to me, they really didn't, solve my problem. So where I'm going with this is that I had like 150 or 80 people come to the Evergreen landing page, and I had 5 people sign up. I pretty much just switched platforms, came back to EasyWebinar. I don't know, we were looking at the numbers. I think it was like, was it like 40 people or 80 people came to the landing page?
You said something like that, yeah. When you were on the phone with me, you said that the conversions, well, you just said the conversions were a lot higher, like same number of people or something.
Yeah, I think, okay, yeah, I had about 100 people, or like let's say 90-something people come. No, I had 30% conversion rate. I had a 30%.
Right.
It
from
was
cold traffic. Yeah.
Right, so I had 76 signups. That's what it was. I had 76 signups, and I think we were doing the math, and it was like just about the same amount of people that came to the page or something like that. It worked out to be 30% conversion.
Right. And which and for cold traffic, I mean that's pretty incredible. And maybe you were doing some retargeting to your existing group and stuff like that, but still that's pretty good. So and now you're probably just testing that every day. You're checking it out, and as you mentioned already, the cool thing about what you can do with EasyWebinar obviously is like you can change those times around at any particular time that you want. So you can have an event that you run every single day, or you can go in and with one click of the button change that to running it on Thursday, at 2 different times, And the cool thing is, like, anybody who already signed up, like say I had somebody sign up an hour ago and I decide to change the event right now, it's not going to affect that person that signed up an hour ago. They're going to be still signed up for the event that they've signed up for, even if I change the registration page around. So
well, I'm glad you said that because I wasn't sure. I'm glad.
Yeah. So all those people in the past that might be signed up, and all the emails that are going to go out, that's already assigned based on that attendee's time that they signed up for. So any future times that you're editing the events, or just maybe you would decide you want to make it like stream out at one time, the day before, your event. So I've been testing out Facebook ads too, and sometimes I notice that when I do a one-time event, I seem to get better conversions. Like if I start a Facebook ad streams out on say Monday to Wednesday, and I have an event on Thursday, I do better than if I sometimes do it as an automated webinar. Another thing is that when I put on the yesterday's replay option, I tend to get better conversions as well, from what I've noticed. Although the sales, for me personally, seem to come more when I don't offer that option. So it's like I get more opt-ins, but I don't get as many sales when they come through the yesterday's replay link. And I think it's because they're coming through into EasyWebinar. I'm selling EasyWebinar, therefore they don't come and they don't get the email notifications and things like that, so they don't see the flow of it. But for anybody else who's like selling a course about blogging and things like that, it's probably the conversions and the sales could do well.
Let me just say this with my experience. First of all, I think you need to use the data that EasyWebinar provides. So what I did was I set up like an entire week of like options, like 2 days, 3 days out, how many. And then what I did was I chose the most chosen time and day, and then I'm running a single event at that time and day.
Oh, so you cloned the events and changed the dates on those. Is that how you did it?
Yes, and then whatever I had the most signups for, whatever day and time that was, I
Mm-hmm.
made a one-time event at that day and time.
Ah, gotcha. That's smart. That's smart. That's obviously a smart way to do it. I mean, that's what you could do with the software. It's almost like A/B. It's almost like split testing times by cloning, and then you can kind of do that. At some point, I think we'd like to be able to give the option of just making the variations, and then you don't have to. So every clone becomes a variation from one page, which that could be something that we have at some point. But so cloning. So you figured out what the day is that people preferred. So what was that? What day is it, and what time is that?
Okay, so for me, for me and my audience, because
Yeah.
again, you need to know your audience, right?
It's
Like
all
my
about your audience. I mean, what Jason's going to share is not necessarily going to work for your specific audience, but I think it's good that we kind of get, people share what their community likes. And I want to see if it's something maybe similar to what my people like.
Okay, so I have 2 days. Thursday is always seems like the best, even at work. At my work emails, Thursday is a great day, and Sunday. The 2 days for me that were good.
What times do you do on those days?
So I always try to like time it around the East Coast, the West Coast, and like Central
Yeah.
at like their lunchtime, and then
Mhm.
like after dinner,
Yeah.
and then also like a morning time in case anybody's up early and they feel like watching it. So like 12 o'clock, and then like a 7 o'clock or 6:30 or something like that. Just seem to work the best for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the times that I like to do. I tend to do like um, I'll sometimes do a 3 o'clock on Pacific Standard on a Thursday. That seems to work because that's like 6 o'clock. Sometimes I'll do maybe 3:30 or even 4. And then I also do like Sundays and Saturdays work well at like 11 o'clock for me. Um, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. That's good. Like just a little good little tidbits that that they can kind of take away and maybe apply to them to their own.
And getting
webinar
getting
time.
back about the yesterday's replay, Casey, I think I had the same experience as you. Like I think they're more committed when they're waiting for the day and seeing the emails. Like
Yeah.
I feel like the people that watched it right then and there were like 10%ers or 0 or 20, and they just kind of like
Yeah,
wanted.
that's what I noticed too. Oftentimes, when I had that, sometimes even people would put in like fake email addresses. It's like so. I think that it will increase your opt-ins, but I don't know if you'll get those sales. The commitment of say a one-time event, or when they have to look for the emails, and you get the ability to nurture them through bringing them to a thank you page and then offering maybe a gift on that thank you page. All that helps to nurture to where you can probably get more sales, and that's what I tend to. I think I try to kind of. I'll go with that, even though I'll not get as many opt-ins. It's the quality of leads that I get. I think that I personally like. So then that's when I get a quality lead. They download my gift. They see that it is valuable, and then they get to know me before the event even starts. And I think that
And
there's something to be said about that.
I was gonna say that, like, my emails are really like, hey man, or hey Mike, or whoever, hey
Mhm.
whatever, like, thanks a lot for joining. I really appreciate you. I can't wait to see you there. I keep it more like less about this like stuffiness and more about like we're friends, and they get that personality, I think,
They're
and they don't
excited
get
to come to the event, right? And it feels, I mean, yes, it's not live, but at the same time, it really just amps them up, gets them excited. It gives them a level of engagement. That's also what I like about the automated is, it can, even though it's not live, you still have those engagement, those engagement things that you can look forward to. Like for instance, when it's automated, obviously, the timed events that you can drop at specific times, they could be, you can ask a question during your webinar and someone can answer, and And so I know you've never used it for live, but you know, I always use it for live, and I'll sometimes even roll in like chat roll or live fire, and you know, a different sort of chat box than just the question box, which obviously all that stuff that's in the question box can go right into EasyWebinar's data, so you can see who asks questions during your event. But I tend to do, you know, when I do a live event, oftentimes I'll use like a live chat. Just so I can, you know, make it really, you know, highly engaged and things like that. But I tend to like both. I tend to find both work, and I like the data. That's why I kind of use the question box. I like the data when it comes through.
Well, now that you say that, I was going to actually say something, and I can say this because I have no relationship with anybody, so I'm going to just say it. I'm testing out lead pages right now. As you did, and I just want to say that one thing that I really love about webinar software is the notifications, and you lose that when you go to a lead pages. I mean, yes, you can have an automated sequence through Aweber or one of these things, but they don't work like the software works, right? Like the software can do it better, I think.
Well, and the software can do it in your attendee's own time zone. So if like you have multiple people in different time zones signing up at different times, your autoresponder won't be able to catch all that. In fact, your autoresponder is pretty much only really good for, say, a one-time, you know, those one-time events, you know.
But even that's hard, like, right? Like, how do you send like a 1 hour, you know, reminder? Like, I had to set up like 3 different autoresponders that, you know, one was set up on time, the other one was set up on, you know, welcome, you know, a welcome, you know what I mean? Like, because the way the sequence works is that it times off the previous email, right?
Yes.
So you can't have someone sign up on Wednesday and then say 3 hours later send them an email for a 1 hour reminder, right? Because it's thrown off. It's not
automated. Yeah, it's like you'd have to go back in and manually every single day change it around and do it, and it's like it's a hassle. I mean, that's why we have it built out to where the notifications send automatically based on when someone signs up, and you know, an hour after a welcome email goes out, and you know, 3 hours before the event, or 1 day, or 2 days before the event, they get emails, and so you know, it's based on when they sign up. It's not based on, you know, more of a global thing that you have to set, you know.
Even for a one-time event, you know, even if it's not a time zone thing, and you're just doing it at 7 o'clock on Sunday, and you want to send out a reminder at 6 o'clock, that's a totally different sequence than their sign-up sequence, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it becomes really manual, and that's one thing that I kind of like was like, you know, oh man, you know. The other thing that I want to say is that I fought you on this whole SendGrid deal. I'm like, dude, it's annoying. Why do I have to have a second like SendGrid? Why do I have to pay like $9.99? Like, that's annoying. But I didn't listen to him. I used the notifications, and like I would say, you know, 20% of the time it would get caught in like a junk mail. So I will be using SendGrid, nevertheless. But yeah, that's definitely something I would recommend. Anybody who's thinking about it, for $9.99, you get 40,000 sends, and you know, I'm Casey's worst nightmare of a client, and I think I've gone through everything. So I feel like I'm qualified to give this kind of advice. But yeah, I mean, that was like the worst $3.97 you ever made, man.
No, it's just, you know, it's I think that, you know, my thing is that I'm always striving to make things better and better and better. I know it's a hassle when you have to go get SendGrid, but because everything is streamed from your own server, you know, this is a plugin for your WordPress site, you know, unfortunately the emails will be sent from your server. So SendGrid is an option to where, you know, you don't have to deal with that. What we are doing soon is we're going to be handling everything. We're going to be handling the emails ourselves. Prices are going to change, though. I mean, they have to, because we're going to host the emails. We'll even offer a hosting of the events themselves as well, to where you can use our own pages, and then it's completely hassle-free. You don't have to set up a WordPress site at that point. But our price structure is as such because of the fact that it is a WordPress plugin. So it's not as much as it's going to be when we start hosting all that. It's going to be, for us to be able to handle all the hosting options and the hosting costs, we're going to start charging yearly and or monthly. I think we're going to probably set up a yearly subscription, which is going to be an option for people. Before that happens, we've wanted to give a solution that's going to work for people that can stream from their own WordPress site. So, and that's what that's why we incorporated SendGrid, just to make sure that your notifications can go out at the right time. That you don't have to hassle and worry about them going into your junk mail because of your server sending out the email. So that's the idea behind SendGrid. So, well, dude, thank you so much for. I'm thinking, is there anything else we need to kind of discuss or talk about? But I really appreciate you sharing everything, and it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think that people need to know everything. Just the reality of things. I never want to I don't want to sugarcoat it. I do want to as someone who is a kind of a guy who has gone through a process of having a software developed and really is concerned about their customers. This is why we focus so much first on customer satisfaction, and also at the same time, this is why I will tell you Ontraport is I'll be honest about why Ontraport can be better than Infusionsoft. Although this was before I knew that you also had a e-commerce site and you were selling physical goods, because Infusionsoft, I think I've been told, is better for people with physical goods, just from fulfillment stuff. But I mean, if you have the fulfillment side of it already fixed and done, you don't, Ontraport, from what I've been told, is better. I have Infusionsoft. I don't have Ontraport, but I have a lot of friends that have gone to it.
Let me just say this. Because I have an e-commerce background and I can get that stuff done without the Infusionsoft or Ontraport. But I can tell you that there are some things in Ontraport that I wish they had. Like, they don't have coupon codes. Like, you can't give 24-hour discounts and stuff like that, which is kind of a little bit tough to work with. There are workarounds. I can say that, man, their support is great. They follow up. They make sure that you're happy, and like you, when I was having an issue, you guys were so responsive. Like I said, I canceled Evergreen 3 days ago, and I'm still waiting to hear back from them. You are so responsive and care so much that I'm going to be a customer forever. Whatever you have, I'm going to be a customer. And again, this is nothing. We're not staged. I'm serious about this. And it's because that I know you care, and that's big. I know you'll always do what's best for us. And I can say that Infusionsoft scared me. Everything I hear about these guys is like a nightmare. $2,000 to start, and then the 30 days, you can't get anything done within the first 30 days that you get it. It's this stuff is too much for me to deal with when I'm trying to learn a webinar software, and then an automation software, and then a processor, a payment processor, and then a membership site. It's just the last thing I want to deal with is a
$2,000 CRM. Yeah, I know.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So and that's one of the things. I mean, I'm grandfathered in. I never had to deal with that. I paid $200 a month or something for Infusionsoft. I've had it for 4 or 5 years. But but it's things that you are concerned with. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we try so much to be on top of questions that come through, and we've actually changed our refund policy actually, because we want only people that want to come through. We want people that are committed to getting their webinars up. And if they can't get it up themselves, we put in our refund policy and kind of disclaimer stuff. I say, our staff will help you get it up and running. If we can't do it and you can't do it, you're going to get your money back. That's what I say. I say if after.
You do stand by that. I can tell you right now, like, what we're, kind of like, I just have like this little thing that I made some updates to my server. Now, I don't know if it's what the deal is, but man, I mean, Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis. Yeah.
He has been emailing me like more than I've been emailing him,
Yeah.
So but it's good because I know that he's on top of it. Whether, every email he's really doing something, I don't know, but he's definitely making me feel like he is, and that's important.
Well, when things, I mean, and here's the thing. No software is going to be perfect. That's one of the things that everybody has to understand. You're not going to get, the Burger King of software where it's done for you. However, I mean, we will go and actually do coding for people, but there's always going to be give and take in any software that you get. And I think at the end of the day, it's a question of who's going to be there to support you. What's supported? I think that's the thing. Like what did you connect with, and what did you connect up with on a human level to a degree? I think that's maybe the important aspect of it, because as we already said, there's always going to be bugs in it. There's always going to be something that pops up. And it's a question of how you handle it and how fast, say, we handle it, or a software company handles, the support for you. So, because we're all, it's a business, but we're all human. So, it's like there are going to be things that pop up. So.
Well, you're dealing with a lot of people with an anxiety when they come to you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because once you get a webinar platform, then you need you don't need it, but if you're trying to do what everybody tells you you're supposed to do, follow-up sequences and then replay and then rebroadcast, and you want to do all these things, you need like an autoresponder, right? And so it's like you're dealing with guys like me who have this anxiety about spending $300 a month on an autoresponder, and then spending the $400 on a platform, and then having to get a membership. I mean, there's all these things that we're trying to figure out. You're not getting the guy who just had a nice night out. You're getting the guy who's I
mean, these are the neurotic. I want to be my own. I'm my own boss. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to make this work, and it's the pain and the frustration that you're always just going through. Our job is to try to eliminate as much of that as possible. My goal is to, if I can be there to help you with your event. I mean, this is why we have our Producers Corner that we're rolling out, where we will put up your events for you. We'll help you run your live events, meaning that we'll run some rehearsals, get you familiar with the different software to run the live event, using YouTube Live, incorporated with EasyWebinar. And we'll help you through that process. If you need to set up an autoresponder, we'll help you do that. So, we're wanting to just not just be a software that sort of sets back. You're doing your thing with the software, and that's it. We're here to our goal is to have someone successful, have someone make $13,000 on a webinar, or $4,000, $500. $10,000, $100,000. We want people to have success. So we're gonna put ourselves out there as much as possible to help them, whether they're creating webinars, whether they're using our software to do live shows. We have people that use our software and do web shows. Streams them out every so often to their community. And so I think that's what it is. And again, just so everybody knows, this wasn't a solicited, case study testimonial. This was literally Jason called me yesterday because of the fact, he was like, dude, you didn't disable my account, and I'm still in there, and I feel guilty. I want to pay you, which, thank you. I mean, that goes to show his character, obviously, for, connecting with me and asking to still pay for the software. So I thought this would be a good thing to share to the community, so that you can, know that your feelings of frustration or overwhelm is you're not alone.
Well, I actually annoyed you for this. I was like, hey, give me a day and time, and like you didn't even get back to me for like a week, and I'm like, yo, Casey, are we gonna do this or what? I want,
Yeah.
I want, and you're like, okay, let's do it tonight, and I'm like, all right, cool, you know, like I was bothering you about it because I was just so impressed with the way the entire thing went from the minute I sent you that first email, being all aggravated to, you know, it just was a great experience, and I just wanted to help you in any way that I can get the word out about experiences, about maybe other people on the other side going through the same thing as I'm going through, and like I said, I was the one who wanted to do this. Casey at no time solicited me. I can say that for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I appreciate you saying that. I was just happy to hear that. Just happy to hear that you came back, and and we're just. I'm glad that we have a relationship like this, and I want to, I'm excited to keep it going forward into the future. So.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jason. Thanks everybody for watching this. If you've stayed to the end, much love to you guys. You're troopers. And if you have any questions at all about anything, let me know about EasyWebinar. If you have any questions about video stuff, you should definitely let me know or Jason know, because Jason, I obviously have YouTube courses that I've taught. And Jason is a living expert at this stuff because he's gotten his Woodland Bakery YouTube channel up to 110,000 subscribers. They're getting a lot of traffic, and all that traffic is funneled back into the business, and the business is thriving. So if you have any questions, do let me know about that. Maybe I'll bring Jason back on, and we'll probably bring him back through at some point. You'll see him again. Trust me, you'll see him again.
If anybody has any questions about YouTube or about how anything, you can either email me or email Casey, and he can email me. I'm happy to help. I don't nothing we do is secretive. Nothing. I don't have any secrets. I could just tell you the process, and I'm happy to do that.
Cool. All right. All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much, and everybody, thank you, and we'll talk to you very soon. Okay.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Casey.
Bye.
Bye.